Hello guys and welcome back to the USDE Travel Channel. I am once again at Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport, and today I will be flying on an airline that is normally said to be America's worst airline. They operate flights all over the country for very cheap rates, and they're usually thought of as being the worst for customer service, the worst for in-flight amenities, the worst for everything, and that is Spirit Airlines. Spirit Airlines is known also for their big yellow airplanes that you can't really miss in the sky, home of what they call the bear fare. I got this flight for $32 over to Las Vegas. I'm going to be flying to Vegas today, one way over to Vegas to test out Spirit Airlines. They have the shortest amount of legroom of any American airline with only 28 inches of pitch. So it will be a very cramped flight for my 2.5-hour flight over to Las Vegas. But is it really as bad as people say? I've heard reviews that it's not actually that bad. I've heard reviews that it's absolutely terrible. So let's go test out Spirit Airlines today, here from Houston to Las Vegas. And here's my ride today to Las Vegas, a brand new Airbus A320 Neo delivered brand new to Spirit Airlines back in March of 2020. So Spirit does have a sort of premium economy section called Big Front in a 2-2 configuration with wider seats and more legroom, followed by the regular economy section called Deluxe Leather in a 3-3 configuration. Here's the only type of seat back storage you have on Spirit with the safety card. Here's the tray table. As you can see, it's about half the size of a normal economy tray table, and there's no seat back pocket at all, similar to what you'd find on Ryanair. As for the legroom, it is virtually non-existent, as you can see, and actually the back of that seat actually bulges out in front of you to even reduce your legroom even more. Small area of seat back storage. It is big enough to hold a smartphone or an iPad, as you can see here, and it does keep them pretty snug into there, but that's all you have for storage. With Las Vegas being the gambling capital of the world, why should Las Vegas's airport be any different? At nearly every gate, there are slot machines and gambling machines that help you not only pass the time, but also to spend your money while you're waiting for your flight to board. And if you get hungry, there's a cupcake vending machine. Yay! Something to keep in mind if you have a connecting flight in Las Vegas. I landed in Concourse A and connected to Concourse D on 2 domestic flights. Normally, there'd be no need for me to go through security again, but here in Las Vegas, you do have to go through security one more time. So make sure to provide yourself with ample time if you do have a connection here in Las Vegas, because you will have to go through security one more time. After going through security, you then take a train that brings you to concourses C and D. The train provides you with nice views of the tarmac, but because of the current flight restrictions, there were none of the interesting European carriers in Las Vegas, just some Southwest planes waiting to board to different destinations around the U.S.
Personal belongings before leaving the train.
So hello guys, from Las Vegas's McCarran Airport, and I just arrived here on my Spirit flight from Houston. After arriving here and giving my review of Spirit now, I can say that Spirit definitely deserves the low-cost moniker that they have given themselves and that they have been given. If you compare it to legacy carriers like United and Delta, which of course are not trying to compete against the services very, very lacking. But if you compare it to other low-cost carriers in Europe, for example, like Ryanair, I would say that Spirit offers a similar level of service to a Ryanair. With other American low-cost carriers like JetBlue and Southwest, Spirit definitely also falters behind. They don't offer any of the services that those two airlines do. But in comparison to Ryanair, it's pretty much the same. I will say that the seats on Spirit are much smaller. The width is a lot narrower, and you have basically no legroom, as you saw on the seat review, that there's basically no legroom on this flight. So this was a 2.5-hour flight that was probably the max I could do on this type of plane. After a while of your knee being pushed up against the seat back in front of you for 2.5 hours, it really does start to hurt and gets annoying. But for 2.5 hours, it was just about okay. Spirit does offer cross-country flights between New York and Los Angeles, for example, which can be 6.5 to even 7 hours, depending on the jet stream, and that would just be torture, I think. But for this kind of flight, it was okay. The flight was very eventful, more eventful than I thought it was going to be, and I'll get to that in a second. But as for the basic review, the flight attendants, first of all, were very nice, as they usually always are, I find, on planes. They're very caring, they greeted us with a smile, all that kind of stuff that they have to do. They did well. This plane was also very clean. The seats were thoroughly cleaned, looked very sleek and modern. I like the color scheme that they have on Spirit, but that's really about where everything ends that was positive for Spirit. The seat, as I said, is extremely small, and that was my biggest sort of regret about the airline, was that it was very, very small. Also, I would say that the other thing that really disappointed me on the airline was their COVID protocols. So ever since COVID started, a lot of people have been saying that Spirit doesn't have the same protocols in place that other airlines do, and this was definitely true. So the only thing that they do enforce are masks on board. You do have to wear a mask, and they really are true about enforcing it. Other than that, there was no social distancing when boarding, so they still board in zones, just as airlines did before COVID, and there's nothing on the ground, no tape, no sort of barriers to enforce any sort of social distancing rules, and also the passengers themselves were not social distancing while they were boarding. Secondly, I would say that even though the aircraft was clean, as I said, there was no wipes handed out to us when we boarded the plane that you would find on American and Delta, and I understand that this is a super low-cost carrier, but handing out one Clorox wipe to a passenger is not going to break the bank. I think that they could have done a better job than that. So I brought my own wipes, expecting this, so do that if you're flying Spirit during COVID. So that was one thing that really disappointed, is that their COVID protocols are not anywhere as good as other airlines. And those type of things, handing out a wipe, enforcing social distancing, doesn't cost anything. So this won't add anything to their overhead to do these type of things, and it makes you feel safer flying them. So I was really disappointed in Spirit by that. You know, we all have to do our part in this, and I feel like Spirit didn't do theirs when enforcing COVID rules. Other than that, as I said, the flight was okay at best. There was no sort of entertainment, no outlets, no USB, nothing like that, no Wi-Fi, but that's what you'd expect on a super low-cost carrier. And the flight was actually very eventful because we had a medical emergency on board. Somebody on board went into a hypoglycemic shock during the flight, and we thought we might have to be diverted to a nearby airport. Fortunately, we did not have to be, but it was a tense 10 moments or so on the plane. So that was definitely something that woke me from my sleep and was unexpected, but I'm glad that that person is okay. In fact, they even had ambulances meet us here at the gate in Las Vegas. So other than that, I thought Spirit was as advertised. It's definitely a super low-cost carrier. It does the deal, it does the job. I got that flight for, as I said, $32, and it was $32 worth of what I paid. So anything more, I think I would have been disappointed, but once again, super low cost. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have flown Spirit and you have a different opinion than me, or the same opinion, leave it in the comments and let me know. This is the first time I've ever flown Spirit, so definitely a good way to see them. So let me know what you think about this video in the comments below. Please like this video and subscribe. I do these type of travel reviews every 2 weeks. So if you want to see more videos like this, definitely subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.